devotional series, Messages from Tiny People. And our lesson today is entitled, The Cost of Sin. And we will read from the book of Judges chapter 16, verse 17. And the Bible says, So he told her everything. No razor has ever been used on my head, he said, because I have been a Nazarite dedicated to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me and I'll become as weak as any other man. And here we find a man called Samson. It's a story that is very well known about a man called Samson, who was one of the strongest people in history. This man was born, and God had made specifications to the parents as they were raising him, how they should raise him, because he was called for a specific purpose. God wanted him to be a judge. He wanted him to deliver his people. He wanted him to lead his people. And so he was supposed to have been raised in a certain way. Here he is telling this woman that he's a Nazarite. A Nazarite was supposed to be a man of integrity, a man who marries an Israelite woman, a man who was not supposed to shave his head. Sometimes he could be a Nazarite for a short period of time, but Samson was a Nazarite for the rest of his life, consecrated for service. And so Samson had a problem here, because instead of focusing on his mission, he grew up knowing that he was supposed to serve God. He decides to follow a different path, and this man had a weakness of women. He always pursued after the wrong kind of women, and all the relationships that he had always turned out bizarre. God had a specific plan for him. He wanted him to go and deliver his people from the Philistines, but Samson depended on his own intellect. He depended on his own wisdom, and because of the sins that he committed with these Philistine women, he lost focus. He lost sight of his mission. He forgot who he was. He forgot who he was representing. He lost the sense of discernment. When we look into this story, he is laying in the arms of a Philistine woman who was bought by the Philistines to deceive Samson. They wanted to get to Samson because they knew that his weakness was women. And so she had betrayed him 3 times. She had asked him where he found his strength, because he was a strong man. They were all they could not understand how he managed to manipulate them, how he managed to destroy a lot of people just alone. And so this woman was used to destroy Samson, but Samson failed to look at her in that way. He fails to discern that this woman has come to destroy him. When you lose focus, when you lose sight of your mission, you fail to discern what is good and what is bad. Samson failed to notice where he was headed to. This woman kept on draining his life. I need you to understand that when you are called by God to serve him, you need to be mindful of who you choose as a partner. You need to choose a support system, somebody who will stand with you in ministry. He was supposed to have chosen among his people so that there would be a righteous people leading God's people to deliverance. And so here the woman drains him until Samson tells him the secret. He tells her the secret of his strength. He tells her that he was not supposed to be cut off his hair. I don't know what happens with love sometimes, whether it's love or infatuation. Sometimes we tend to lose reason. We tend to lose our heads. We tend to forget how to think when we are in love. And so Samson tells her the secret. And unfortunately for Samson, he was deceived. And when he slept, she told the Philistines that this man's strength is in his hair, and they cut him off his hair. And when he wakes up, he had lost his strength. God had called Samson to live a righteous life. He had endowed him with strength. His strength was in the hair. And when we look into our lives, we realize that God has given us different strengths. We are strong in different ways. But when we choose to live a different life from what God has chosen us to live, we lose our strength. We lose our focus. God empowered Samson with strength. However, when we look again into this story, despite the fact that Samson disobeyed God, God still found a way of working with Samson in his weaknesses. This is the God that he served. Despite so many disappointments that we give our God, he still decides to use us however we are. Samson loses his righteousness. He loses his strength, and it cost him his life. In the end, Delilah manages to manipulate him, and they shave his head, and he becomes a slave to the Philistines. When he becomes a slave to the Philistines, Samson prays again to God, and God restores his strength. And finally, he finds his way back to God, and he tells God that, please give me my strength for the last time, and he manages to kill the Philistines. But still, we look into Samson's life and we learn that when we lose part of what God has set before us, we miss the mark. It is important to always keep our eyes fixed on our goals, because when we look aside, we will get distracted. Samson was distracted from his mission by a woman who was supposed to help him to accomplish what God had put for him. May the good Lord bless us all as we decide to focus on our mission and not cost our lives with the wrong choices that we make. God bless you.